politics, primaries, Democrats, and the election?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Certainly do. As long as we get the 80 head of office, we'll be okay.
Just so you know, if in fact, by some odd set of circumstances, a Democrat is elected, and stranger things have happened. The last King Bush was deposed by a bumpkin from Arkansas who spent 8 years chasing girls around the Oval Office during a period of relative peace and the most phenomenal economic growth in the history of the country. Oh, I wish we had the bumpkin back. But we don't. We've got Mr. Bush, who probably isn't responsible for the recession and probably deserves some credit for not making it worse. Bush is going to come under an enormous amount of criticism in this campaign because of the intelligence failures on the weapons of mass destruction. But my point from a management perspective is this: if in fact, by some odd set of circumstances, this Bush also is a one-term president, that changes everything from the federal government's point of view. Because John Kerry, if he is elected, despite the hair, the fact that he looks like he's dead, it's okay, he may win, is about as liberal a Democrat as we've seen in years. Remember, we haven't had a northern president since John F. Kennedy in 1960. It's been California and the South ever since. So we're kind of due for a liberal again, which those of you who are conservatives are probably horrified about. I don't care one way or the other, so it has no difference to me. My taxes are going up. That's the way it always goes. But from a business point of view, in such things as personnel management, where money from the government is going to go to support different programs, as far as business opportunities, a liberal is a completely different animal than a conservative. And let's be honest about one thing, this George Bush is about as conservative a conservative as we have had in a long time. Ronald Reagan was a Republican, but he was a lot more like a Democrat than this guy is. So we're going to have a pendulum swing if, in fact, a Democrat gets into office. Now, it could be Kucinich. No, it won't be Kucinich. It could be Dean. Yes! No, I don't think so. He looks just too completely insane. But that's okay. But from a management point of view, from a business point of view, from a money point of view, this country is going to do a 180-degree turnaround if, in fact, a Democrat who's a liberal is elected. We're going to see a complete change of attitude towards who's appointed as judge. We're going to see a complete change of attitude as far as such things on reproductive rights, a, quote, woman's right to choose. We're going to see lots of, I guess you could call it a re-evaluation of such programs as discrimination in the workplace, affirmative action. We're going to see a complete turnaround of government support for different classes. For instance, the Republicans traditionally favor the upper class in the belief that if you stimulate big business, they'll create jobs. Democrats, on the other hand, just want to give you a check. We'd love to have you find a job, but until you do, here's a check. Here's a check. Want a check? Here's a check for you. Here's a check for you. Democrats love to give away my tax money to the poor. Republicans love to give away my tax money to the rich. All things considered, I don't really care who gets it. They're still going to give away my tax money. But I want to let you know that there are a lot of people in business who are really starting to look closely at this campaign. Until recently, everybody assumed George Bush would be reelected. And I asked our staunch Republican faculty member, who will remain nameless to protect him, suppose George is reelected. Can he do a third term? No. The Constitution says no. So if this Bush doesn't continue on, who's the next Republican? And he looked at me and smiled and said, Jeb.
Oh my God.
So the Republicans are starting to groom their next candidate, assuming that George W. is going to be reelected and survive his term. Well, let's face it, George Bush's smartest thing ever was to have a Republican vice president who's even less popular than him. You may want to assassinate the president, but then who takes control? Cheney. That's okay. See what I mean? That's pretty cool. You get somebody who basically nobody else wants, and you're actually kind of safe. I like it from a marketing point of view. Again, my philosophy is whoever has the best hair is the one who's likely to be elected. People wonder when it was that George Bush really lost the election to Bill Clinton, and I think it was when he threw up on the Japanese ambassador on national TV. Americans do not forgive presidents for looking stupid. We'll forgive you for starting wars. We'll forgive you for wasting taxes. We'll forgive you for disenfranchising groups of people. But if you look stupid on TV once, you're gone. You see? You're gone. How about Bob Dole? Anybody remember Bob Dole?
Yeah.
The guy with the pencil in the hand because his arm was hurt in the war. When did Bob Dole lose the election? I can tell you exactly when. In one of his presentations, he reached down to shake the hand of a constituent and kept on going. Tumbled off the stage. That's it. We don't care if you're crippled. We don't care if you're insane. We don't care if you're right-wing, left-wing. But once you fall off the stage or puke on the ambassador, you're done. You see? George Bush, to his credit, has not thrown up in public or fallen off the stage, which is why, as long as nobody with better hair opposes him, you say, well, that's a stupid way of looking at things. Not as stupid as you might think. You say, no, Americans vote on the issues. Do Americans vote on the issues? I don't think they even know most of the issues. And in fact, most Americans are so cynical they don't believe there's that much difference between one president's promises and his record and another president's promises and his record. You're not going to get what they promise. They promise you what you want to hear so that they can get into the office. And then once they're in the office, they do what they think is best for you. If you don't understand the difference of the relationship between marketing and then politics, you can really learn a lot by watching this election. It's not so much what Kerry or Lieberman. Has Lieberman got a chance? Lieberman ever have a chance?
A freak show.
Show us Sharpton. Al. Sharpton have a chance. He's getting a lot of publicity. No question about that. This is a very good thing for Al Sharpton, but I'm not sure he's electable at this point. Not because of his race, but because he's such a character. Again, it's the hair. The hair. You say I'm trivializing? No, not at all. This is not trivial. People vote with their hearts. People vote for the candidate who they want to win. Just like on Survivor, just like on The Real World, just like on The Bachelorette. People really do adapt a feeling for the individuals, and they promote who they want to win. I don't think it's the issues at all. Maybe I'm mistaken. Of course, we won't be together when the election occurs, but we will be together next Tuesday. What's next Tuesday? It has a term. Not just Tuesday. It's called Super Tuesday, because there are a significant number of presidential primaries taking place, one of the most important in South Carolina. It's the first of the Southern primaries, and don't forget, we've been electing Southerners now since the 1960s, which is kind of scary. So, we will be together on Tuesday, and next Wednesday we'll have a brief discussion about the same stuff and see who's dropped out and see who's still in. I would imagine that after Super Tuesday, 3 or 4 of the Democratic candidates will be gone. I have a problem. Every semester I give away an exemption to the final exam to a student. And I usually wait until the end, and I probably still will, but let me just point out some of the dimensions of the problem. It's nice to be exempt from the final exam, no question about that. So this is a good thing. It also doesn't cost me any money. I don't even have to put it on my credit card. So I can give away this little treat to somebody who I feel should get it. And I always face the problem, should I give it to the better student who is here all the time, who does the work? But they don't really need an exemption. They're really going to get a grade anyway, get an A. They seem to like the class. They even enjoy doing the work. So why give the person who enjoys the work the opportunity to do less? Should I give it to the student who needs the points the most? The person who's hardly ever here? The person whose work is very poor? The person whose attitude is really terrible, but they really need the points? It might raise them from a D to a C. It might raise them from an F to a D. Some of you are really cute. I could really give it to a cute one. Some of you are actually kind of scary. Maybe it would be safer for me to give it to somebody who is scary. I could give it to someone of my own gender. That's an interesting thing. I could give it to someone of my own race. I might even find someone close to my age. we have a common bond there, but I can do whatever I want. You're going to get a chance to do something similar. In fact, the next assignment in your textbook is on pages 120 and 121. Is there anyone who does not yet have a book? I don't mean with you, I mean doesn't have it. Don't fib, because this is important. Everybody has access to or possession of a book.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't need these. On pages 120 and 121 is just an example of whom do you promote. And for those of you that are learning English, it's not who do you promote, it's whom do you promote. Why? I don't know. Stupid language anyway when you come right down to it. You have a list of 6 candidates, and you're asked to do 2 things in this assignment, pages 120 and 121. You're asked to first rank them
Oh,
with
did
number.
I have a sheet? No, I forgot my book.
It's okay. Rank them as far as who would you promote first, and then you're asked to address those 3 questions. What factors did you consider in your ranking? What was the most important factor? And what information in the biographical data, if any, should not be considered in developing your rankings? Now this is from top to bottom, best to worst. Number 1 is going to get the promotion. I'll pass back at the end the work that you've done so far, but I'd like to make some suggestions for full credit on this case. Should be about a page. You should actually do the rankings. You should actually answer the questions. You say, well, duh. Well, duh. I mean, not everybody has been able to accomplish that. It should be well presented. If you're going to write it well. If you're going to print it and type it, chances are you're not going to have a problem with the presentation style. I'm not going to criticize your choices. I'm not going to criticize your answers. I'll give you an example. What is one of the things that you should never consider, ever consider, as you're looking at people to promote? What's one thing that should never be considered?
The gender thing.
Gender. Age.
Race.
Race. Family status. Whoa, here's question 3, all done for you. You see what I mean? In fact, not only isn't it a good idea, it's illegal. Does that mean it's never done? No, of course not. We can try to modify people's behavior, but we can't do anything about people's attitudes. And if they don't want to promote a woman, they'll find a way to get around it. And it's really, really hard to catch them sometimes. Often you need a pattern of behavior. But again, why would race, age, gender, income, or family status have anything to do with who you promote in a business environment? I mean, wouldn't you want to promote the person who is most likely to do the best job? But here's where we start to cross over from a purely business environment to the human environment. You've got people in this list of 6 who really need a promotion. They've got some serious financial concerns, and you're going to have to make a decision as to who gets elevated. Now, if I have 2 people who are equally competent, one has more seniority, I might promote them based on seniority. Is time in the business a valid reason to promote a person? Absolutely. Is it legal? Absolutely. It's kind of hard in some cases to separate yourself from the human side of management, and of course you may or may not do it if you choose to become a manager. One of the reasons I won't manage is because I can't tell people no. I can't use the resources of the business solely for the business. I would promote the person who I thought most needed the money. And even if they turned out to be incompetent, I would try to protect them so I didn't look stupid. Both of those things are absolutely unacceptable management characteristics. But notice that it's great for marketing. Let's be clear about one thing. I'm a marketer. I'm not a manager. Any questions on this? One question. Valentine's Day. I used to put specific dates in there, but there were always so many exceptions that you basically forgot the date. So not later than February 14th, Valentine's Day. You might say, well, maybe that's a Tuesday or a Thursday. Okay, well, then the class
Do you want to say 1 page for each question?
No, a page should do the whole thing. You know?
Okay.
In other words, rank them. You don't have to give the reasons why you rank them.
I'll just rank them in your order and then...
You rank them, and then you say what was most important, What shouldn't you consider? In fact, this case takes a lot longer to read than it does to write. So, those of you who want to get it done sooner, you can always turn the work in early. I usually like to hold it until most of it comes in, but if you want yours back right away, you just say, hey, I want mine back right away, and I'll get it to you. Pass back what we have towards the end of the hour. You hear a lot about the economy's improving. We have a constant stream of data coming in from the TV and the corridor out there. But just as a recession doesn't equally hurt all parts of the country at the same time, and just as a recession doesn't hurt all industries equally at the same time, in other words, during this last 3-year period when the hospitality industry was devastated, the mortgage refinance business was going through the roof. Because during tough economic times, governments forced interest rates down. And when interest rates come down, refinancing your mortgage makes a great deal of economic sense, particularly at a time when customers really need the extra money. So if you were in the mortgage industry over the last 3 years, you've had record sales and record profits. It's been a fantastic opportunity for you. It's kind of like how well undertakers do during a bout of the plague. You say, oh my God, the plague, everybody's dying. The undertakers are like, yes, everybody's dying. And the coffin makers and people who own land that's designated for cemeteries. I would suggest to you that in every poor economic time, somebody always wins, and in every good economic time, somebody always loses. And in fact, as the economy improves and moves along, we're going to find fewer people refinancing their mortgages. And in fact, the mortgage refinance industry is now falling into hard times, where at the same time the stockbrokers and real estate sellers are actually doing better. So we hear that the economy is improving. We hear that the stock market is rising. We hear that the people have more hopes. It was a good retail season for Christmas. Yet at the same time, if you look in the paper, this week there were 2 articles that weren't good news. United Airlines is pulling out of the Miami airport as one of their headquarters. They were trying to develop a true competitive place against American Airlines into South America. All during the 1990s, American Airlines was making a fortune flying people from Miami down to Bogota, Venezuela, Argentina, and Brazil. Those days are gone. South America is currently in recession. The volume of passengers has dropped off, and United looked like they had a tremendous opportunity to take on American Airlines. That opportunity has evaporated. United's going to pull 150 jobs out of the Miami airport. They're still going to fly out of Miami. They're just not going to try to compete with American. And also, Motorola has announced in Palm Beach County that they are closing their last cell phone pager factory. They're going to put about 1,400 people out on the street. They'll offer them jobs if they want to transfer to Houston or some other place where the Motorola factories are hiring. But this is one of the last of the businesses to decide that Palm Beach County is no longer a reasonable place of business. By the way, a lot of those jobs shift overseas. Last year it was the Hewlett-Packard call center. People let you call to get help on your Hewlett-Packard products. They closed that, put about 1,000 people out on the street, and shipped that job to India. So it's been an interesting time. We see the end of the recession. In general, the economy is rising, but if you tell the people who are being fired by United, they don't see it. If you tell the people who are fired by Motorola, they don't see it. If you tell the people who are going to be hired by the Scripps Institute, which is moving into Palm Beach County, and it's going to hire 1,000 people, the same 1,000? No, sorry, that's the problem. So in other words, some people are doing better, and some people are doing worse. The president, right or wrong, gets criticized for the recession. The president, right or wrong, gets credited when the economy improves. From George Bush's point of view, this is a great time to see the economy improve. Basically, the halo effect means that if something good happens, you get credit for it. If the recession went on another year, Bush's chances of re-elections would be lowered. But if the recession actually breaks and the economy improves over the next 10 months, that also works to his favor. So managers have their fingers crossed, and they're not quite sure what's going to happen with the presidency. If a Democrat comes in, everything changes. If the Republicans maintain control, then everything stays the same for at least 4 more years. In chapters 4 and 5, which is the decision-making chapter and the organization chapter. We kind of split those this week. On Friday, we'll talk just about organization. Last class, if you were here, you may recall I gave you a brief example of decision-making purchasing cold-rolled sheet steel. And if you suddenly have a need for cold-rolled sheet steel, it's hard to say. You can try it, but not right now. You have a choice. Do you buy it from the company who charges the least? But as you saw on the grid on the board, they took the longest to deliver. If you have a great need right now, you're going to have to pay the company who can deliver in the fastest period of time. The whole chapter on decision-making tried to point out that you identify the problem, evaluate the alternatives, make a choice, and move on. But I would say that there are two terms that you need to look at in that little business of make a choice and move on. Searching for alternatives is safe. Searching for alternatives is actually kind of fun. When consumers think about buying a car, they usually have 5 or 6 models that interest them. They go to the dealer, they get the beautiful color brochures, they go home on the dining room table, they look them all out, and they say, look, the Escalade's beautiful, the Navigator's big, but it was less for the Hyundai Sonata, and on and on and on. As long as they're searching for information, any of those cars could be theirs. But once they've made a decision, only one car is theirs. Or people decide they want to go on vacation. Do we go to Hawaii? Do we go to Costa Rica? Do we go to Jamaica? Or do we go to Paris? That's the Eiffel Tower. You see? And as long as we're searching for alternatives, we can go anywhere. Look at the sun. Look at the people. Look at the beautiful architecture. And of course, you never see slums. You never see rain. You never see crime. You never see fires. You never see cockroaches running around in these beautiful brochures. And until you've made a decision as to where you're going to go, you're completely risk-free. Alternates and risk have a relationship. Once you've made a choice, Hawaii, you're stuck with it. Now, if it rains in Hawaii, you wish you'd gone to Costa Rica, but here you are in Hawaii. Or if the security check in San Francisco International Airport requires you to get on and off the plane 6 times all day, you wish you'd gone to Jamaica, or any one of 1,000 things that could go wrong. And if you went with your significant other or spouse, and it turned out to be your decision, in my case, she wanted to go to Jamaica, but I really pushed for Hawaii. And here we are in Honolulu, pouring rain, lost our baggage. Who's going to get blamed for that? Me. That's why I always let her win. I may not like where we go, but at least I know who gets blamed. Blame and risk in business. Do we build a factory in Pittsburgh, in San Diego, in Santa Clara, or in Boston? As long as you're searching out locations to build your factory, nobody can criticize you. In fact, it might even be to your advantage to keep searching, because you look like you're really busy. I'll tell you, well, we want a decision on where to build a factory. Okay, let me do some research. Climate research, cost of land research, labor costs, taxes, what the city will do to get us in. Let me continue to search and 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 search. How are you coming on that report? Well, now I'm digging into the possible tax breaks that can occur if we build in Santa Clara County. Oh, very good, very good. 4 years later, they ask you, how you doing on that report? Oh, well, I'm working my way through Missouri now, and we'll get to Illinois next. Geez, you know, we really want to build a factory. Oh, well, you don't want to make a bad decision. You don't want to take the risk of making a bad decision, and I don't want to be blamed for making a bad decision. If you research every kind of car, you're going to drive the junk heap you have for the next 5 years. Sooner or later, you've got to make a choice. That's where these 2 words come in. Most business people realize that searching for the optimum decision, which could also be referred to as the absolute best decision, or perhaps the perfect decision. There wasn't any. You know what I mean. You'll keep searching and searching and searching. The perfect vacation destination getaway, you can go almost anywhere. The perfect spouse, you can go forever. You'll always see one a little bit cuter, a little bit richer, a little bit smarter, just over the horizon. If you keep looking for the perfect spouse, enough. Sit in a restaurant, they hand you the menus, 85 different choices. You could take a long time to make a decision, or you could say, you know what, I'll have the blah, 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 chicken cordon. You see, it'll be fine. I like chicken cordon. Well, it'll be good enough. Was there a food on the menu that you might have liked better? Possibly, but you could die of starvation searching through all of your options. This is once you've picked a restaurant. There's a lot of restaurants. If you're looking for the perfect restaurant, you'll have to keep looking for an enormous amount of time. If you're looking for an okay restaurant, there's a couple of dozen. Searching for the perfect almost always pushes the decision back further and further and further. It delays your decision because you're avoiding the risk of a less than perfect choice. Looking for a satisficing decision gives you something you can live with in a reasonable period of time. So in the steel question, we wouldn't say, let's go for the absolute cheapest provider. We would say something like, whoever can give us the steel for less than $12 a ton and can deliver it within 3 weeks, the first company that can meet those two satisficing conditions, we go with. If we kept looking, could we get steel a little bit quicker? Yeah. But it could take us 4 weeks to find a company that can deliver it 1 week faster. In fact, it actually took you longer. Could we find someone to sell us the steel cheaper? Maybe. But it could take so long to search that we lose sales, revenue, and profit because we're searching for the lowest cost provider. And you know, you can always find somebody cheaper, and you can always find somebody faster, but how long will it take? You can always find a better restaurant, you can always find a better spouse. Half the people who marry do move on, but that's okay. At least you got something at home right now. At least you got food in front of you right now. At least within 3 weeks, we have reasonably costed steel in the factory. Now let's make some toasters. Satisficing then doesn't look for the best, it looks for the okay. Let's make a decision and move along. Set a criteria, under 12, under 10, under 8, whatever you want. But now as you're browsing through the producers of steel, very quickly you're going to find someone, hey, here's a $7 that will take 17 days to get here. That's it. Don't look any further. It's cheap enough, it's fast enough, let's move along. This is a good attitude. This is a good way to make decisions. Because if you get caught in the trap of searching for endless alternatives just to avoid the risk of making a mistake, you're likely never to have done the decision at all. Then it's just an exercise in research on the web. You're not actually accomplishing anything. Same thing can be true with colleges, same thing can be true with clothing, same thing can be true with pets. It can all be true with different things. Last thing in the chapter that I wanted to spend a few minutes on, your book has this on page 115. And again, from time to time it would be fairly obvious when I have a prejudice in favor of or a prejudice against something in business. If I let my prejudice color my presentation and not tell you that it's prejudice, you might tend to think that that's the way it is. So by telling you in advance that I hate to work in groups, you'll understand why I have 3 good things to say and 1,400 bad things to say. It's not that working in groups are bad. Other people have had wonderful experiences. My problem is that when I have to sit with a group, it's usually faculty and administration. Faculty leaves when they're done. Administrators leave at 5 o'clock. Whenever I have a meeting with these bozos, how late does the meeting go? 5 o'clock. Because they'd rather be in the meeting with coffee and donuts than in their office until 5 o'clock. Nobody can bother them in the meeting. So I'm like, as soon as we make a decision, I'm going to the beach. But as soon as we make a decision, they go back to their office. Are they in any hurry to make a decision? No. So they're constantly giving me, well, let's just think about one more alternative. And if you ask them, you don't want to go back to your office, do you? No. Why not? My office is filled with my paperwork that's not finished. It's filled with my phone that always rings. It's filled with my email that I haven't read. It's where my boss can find me if she needs me. So you're actually enjoying this, aren't you? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We're not getting out of here before 5, are we? Oh, no. No. That's why I hate meetings. On the other hand, when I have a meeting with faculty, we all get together at 1 o'clock. We're done by about 1:05. Because when we're done, we're gone. Say, what do you think? The blue one? Yeah, blue, who cares? See what I mean? Not our money, not going to have it. We can decide in the speed of light. And I like those meetings. Give you an example. We're meeting right now. Here we are. I could really make you mad. I could work with one of my hidden secret agents, and I have several. And sometimes I ask one of these secret agents, let's do some experimenting with the class. And we finish at supposedly 9:50. 10:50, I'm sorry. And at 10:48, I could say, okay, now does anybody have any questions about what we covered today? And my agent could raise their hand and say, well, yeah, I'm not really sure what you mean by the line organization. So, well, this is an important topic, and I'll keep it up. Meanwhile, all of you have already done this, which is the student's secret code for I'm leaving. You've already packed up your backpack. You're already making your cell phone calls and stuff like that. Some of you got the cigarettes out. A couple of you drinking vodka. And this fool starts to ask questions. It's understood in classes you don't ask a question with 2 minutes left, because that just prolongs it for everybody. Same thing is true for me with meetings. But meetings do have a place, and particularly when you look at group decision making. And as far as the most important benefit of group decision making is you get other opinions or other POV points of view. Frequently we'll have students sit. One committee I sit on is the Grade Appeals Committee. If you don't like your grade and the instructor can't work with you, the department head can't work with you, it'll go to the dean. You come to the dean and you make your presentation. There are a number of faculty members from different departments and always 2 students. Now, are these drunken D students? No. They're always impeccably credentialed A students from the honors college. Well, who do they tend to side with, you see? Well, I have never sat on a grade appeal committee where I found for the faculty member. I always vote for the student. I don't care if they're right or wrong. I just do it to aggravate people. See what I mean? So I don't get called much anymore. But my point is that we get students involved with these kind of decisions because without them we would not have a student point of view. Whenever the college makes decisions that affect the whole college, they want North Campus, South Campus, and Central Campus there to get other people's point of view. There is a term called myopia, which generally means that you have a very narrow range of vision. You can only see things through your own impressions, through your own experiences, through your own prejudices. Marie Antoinette, before they cut off her head, asked, why are the people so upset? And they said to her, Your Majesty, they have no bread. And of course, you know what she said. Well, let them eat cake. It never occurred to her that the peasants didn't have cake. When she ran out of bread, she didn't get pissed. She just reached for some cake. You see? It would have been, why are the peasants so angry? Well, they have no coal. Well, let them burn wood. No, dummy. They don't have coal. They don't have wood. They don't have bread. They don't have cake. People are poor. You're the queen. Get a life. And of course, she lost hers. And so if you say, well, why are students so upset with a mere 7% increase in tuition? The people that ask those questions usually make $65,000 a year. Do you? That's why they're upset. So the tuition goes from $55 a credit to $65 a credit. It's only $10. Again, spoken like the president of a college who makes $227,000 a year. Let's raise the tuition 10% of your salary. Whoa, that's a whole different world, you see. So yeah, I would agree. Group decision-making has some value, getting other people's point of view. But there are some other problems with it, specifically other people's point of view. Oftentimes, if you get 10 people together and say, okay, we'd like to hear your opinions, they're all going to give their opinions. Let's assume that we're considering raising tuition 10%. We ask people's opinion. One person says, no, we shouldn't raise it at all. We should lower it 10%. Why? Oh, because students have a hard time making the payments. Well, yeah, but see, we're in a recession and the budget is cut and all this kind of stuff. We can't lower it. So we have to listen to opinions that in some cases are stupid or inappropriate or go on and on and on and on. I guess you can see what I'm getting to here. In each case, when we talk about the positive and the negative, there's a positive and a negative side to each of the elements of group decision making. Yes, you hear other people's point of view, but you have to hear other people's point of view, and it goes on and on and on. Yes, you can spend a little more time making the decision and not rushing into things, but again, it takes so much time to listen to everybody's point of view and searching for more alternatives. And I can't tell you how many group meetings or committees I've been on when we were this close to a decision, somebody brings up another thing we haven't thought about, and we have to table the discussion to do more research. And let's meet again next month. Oh, and I cry out, no, let's just make a decision. It's good enough. Let's satisfy this and move on. Oh, no, 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 no. We want to make sure that we do exactly the right thing. They'll sometimes prolong meetings 6 and 7 months, month after month. Do we have a 6% increase in tuition or a 6.5% increase in tuition? 8 months later, we decide 6.25. We could have done this in 4 minutes and moved on. Your book points out, and again, the advantages, and I've highlighted a couple of them. Number 1 on page 15 does provide the supervisor with a broader range of information, other points of view. It also improves communication, the number 3 there, because people who are represented in the group decision will actually have some input and they'll know what's happening. So yes, you do get other points of view, and yes, you do get better communication. It also can join people together, because nobody feels left out. We oftentimes in business have to sell a decision to the employees or to the stockholders or to managers or in some cases to the government. And one of the ways you help sell a decision would be to include them in the decision-making process. The unfortunate thing, there are disadvantages. I've highlighted a couple of them. It takes time away from their job. Like I said, these people that I meet with, the supervisors, the administrators, they're in no hurry to get back. In a dynamic industry where you really need to have access to people, meetings and group decisions can be a waste of time. It may force the supervisor to choose sides, and that aggravates the people who are against it. In other words, sometimes when you invite employees into the decision, and the decision doesn't go the way they wanted it to, they actually become more hostile than if you just told them what you were going to do. I'll give you an example of how you can work around this. Suppose you want to paint the employee lunchroom green. One of the ways that you sell the decision to the employees is to form a committee with both management, maintenance, and the employees, and choose a color to paint the lunchroom. They may choose brown. If you don't want to paint it brown, you've already got 400 gallons of green paint left over from painting the warehouse. So I invite all the people to come in and I say, you know what we'll do is we'll have a vote. Green or tan? Green or tan? And we'll involve you all. Vote, please, green or tan? Green or tan? By the way, what's going to win the vote? Green. And that's the way I'll announce it. Well, you've decided it'll be green, if that's what you want. Okay, we'll paint it green. Then you say, yeah, right, we made them paint it green. They probably wanted to paint it tan. We showed them. Did you show them? No. But it's a different decision if I involve you, even if I rig the results. Now, I wouldn't rig the results. I'm not that horrible a person, you see. Yeah, right. See what I mean? We would never like to make a presidential election. No. I'm from Rhode Island, and our motto is vote early and vote often. There's a couple of other things on page 115. It's difficult to use if the decision must be made quickly. So if you're up against time pressure, the more people you involve in the decision, the more likely you are to delay that decision. And for those reasons, there's both positive and negative in the group decision-making process. 5 minutes just to show you what's on the board here. A couple of the terms that we'll start looking at on Friday, we'll probably squeeze off into Monday also. In the organization of any business, we're trying to accomplish a task, and we usually organize to accomplish that task. There are several ways to organize, and we'll go through some of them in detail, organizing by region, or by product, or by customer type. And I'll give you an example. We sell Band-Aids to customers. You can buy them in retail stores. We also sell Band-Aids to hospitals. Do hospitals buy the Band-Aids with little Disney characters on them? Typically no, because what they're looking for is a product that does the job at the lowest possible cost. Consumers, on the other hand, buy the stupidest things on the planet. They even buy disposable diapers with Disney figures on them, because Disney is associated with children, and they feel that it's a better product. It's got the Disney logo on it. They buy some of the most expensive things. And by the way, when you have your kids, the cheaper the diaper, the better the diaper. Look what the diaper does. Oh, got it. Okay? And then you roll it up and you throw it away. And you catch them any better because it's got Mickey on the front. No, but you pay 3 times more for that. Does your child know? Kids don't know anything. He's there until you feed it again. Don't put your money into diapers. Put your money into a trust fund for the kids' college. See what I mean? And yet, I got 2 divisions. Consumer division of Band-Aids, industrial division of Band-Aids, completely different customer types. And if I walk into the hospital and say, hey, tell you what, I'm going to let you pay 3 times more for these Band-Aids because it's got Goofy on it, they're going to throw you out. That's what we mean by organizing by customer type. Some products are sold to the military. Some products are sold to consumers. Military products must work, or people die. Consumer products should work, or we get sued. Well, we don't build into consumer products the same level of quality that we build into military products. They're completely different animals. A bolt, a nut, a screwdriver, a toilet seat, or a toaster built for the American military is vastly higher in quality than the kind of stuff that you can get in Walmart. Because if you're break, it's mad, you go back, blah, blah, blah. If it breaks in an aircraft, it starts a fire, and everybody dies. Or by region. I don't know how much you've had a chance to travel, but things are different in the north. In fact, in the north today, they're freezing. 48 people dead already in this winter storm. I'm thinking to myself, what winter storm? What a bunch of morons. Since I live there, I feel that I can criticize these people. Selling in the north is very different than selling in the south. In the south, you have to yawl this and yawl that and yawl the other thing. Selling out west is howdy this and howdy that. Everything's horses, and you got to wear boots and big funny hats. You look like a moron walking down Fifth Avenue in New York City with boots and a cowboy hat on. You look like a moron walking through downtown Dallas with a suit and tie on. So sometimes you want to organize your business to respect the region where your money comes from, or the type of product that you sell, or the type of customer that you talk to. What's the best system? The best system is the one that satisfies your needs in the area. It doesn't matter how you organize, they're all fine, but what's appropriate for you? We'll also talk about such things as line, staff, and span of control, but I'm not going to take any more of your time. I am going to pass back what I have. Cases are generally worth up to 5 points. You might have got a little bit more, you might have got a little bit less. If you can lose the fringe and you can lose the holes, that will help you the next time.